Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Informal with a special edition podcast for today because it will only just be one topic. But this one topic is pretty big, so I want to tackle it because it has been lingering on my mind for a few months or so. And it's something that I really don't understand, or maybe I'm still trying to understand, or maybe you can understand. Let me know down the comments below. But the topic on this podcast is brand decision. Brand decisions. It's gonna be more technologically driven, electronically driven devices, and basically a lot of technologies, gadgets, and electronic devices. So it's gonna be more towards, but I'll mix in with a few general goods here and there, or general items. So let's get on with the podcast. So whenever a brand or company wants to produce a product, an item, they have to have the item or the product made. Now, how do they want the consumers to produce it, or who they want to target? Obviously, they have to do brand market research, also research of what consumers are looking for. That may be part of market research. There's also market segments, what particular segments of consumers cater to this product that I'm producing, and then what kind of features they're looking for. And obviously, in the end, the final of it all is the price. Can we produce this item in a reasonably priced so that consumer can afford it, or consumers willing to purchase it? So let's get into that. Okay, let me give you one example, and they are a great example on this. Apple. So Apple over the years have done market research. They always love testing the consumers. How much can a consumer take, or how much is the consumer willing to purchase this item? Let's say they produce the iPhone 8 for $1,000. Will their current customer and new customer be able to purchase this without any backlash? And if there is backlash, then they would revert back maybe in the next generation and lower it. But since they are testing the market, then obviously they're willing to proceed with the current price and their current item. Not only that, they also decided on to take out features that they think that are very old and that are legacy, such as removal of the 3.5mm or headphone jack or audio jack, depending on where you're from. So it seems like the consumers or the current customers are willing to accept it, but there are also a few of the customer did not accept that. They thought that being courageous of removing the audio jack, it was a big mistake. So they decided to keep their current iPhone 6 and not buy the iPhone 7. So here's another example of this. Okay, so those are one of the decision I really don't understand. Yes, you're willing to test it out. Yes, I understand that you may not need this feature, but later on we found out that there are people out there who needs these features, and you can't say that Bluetooth is a good substitute or USB Type-C cord is a good substitute, because USB does not have a good standard right now, and Bluetooth, well, you need to charge your headset, and as for a wired headset, you don't need to charge it. And so that's the decision that Apple is willing to make. Here's one that's very confusing. LG G6. So they did a market research, and they also did a market segment. So listen to this, okay? So in parts of Asia, they prefer high quality audio than wireless charging. Okay. So what LG did is they sold the LG G6 with wireless charging, waterproof, and also micro SD and that, right? But in Asia, they do not get wireless charging. Instead, they get waterproof and they get high audio. That doesn't make sense to me. Why would you do that? So, and also in Korea, they get a higher end model, which is 128 gig internal. And they also get 2 additional batteries in the packaging. So, this is what drives me crazy about these types of decisions, because in production or in the assembly factory, there's a lot more moving parts. Not only that, you have to divide per factory which this device is going to, what country, what model. Now you have different SKUs, different models. Why can't it just be 1 or 2 SKUs or 1 or 2 models? Keep it simple. Have every country have the same type of features. I can forgive the radio bands differences, but why can't US is the number 1 customer. Don't get me wrong. To me, US should be the number 1 customer. That's where it should be. The flagship is. That's where you should be selling all the top end models. So with that, I just don't understand how LG thought it would have been a good idea to differentiate the phone in different markets. It doesn't make sense, and this is what the kind of things that drives me crazy. Not only that, you're purchasing something that is not even the flagship. Another country has the actual flagship. So now you're thinking, where did my money go? Where is the value in that? I mean, not everyone is purchasing phones every year. There are those who keep their phones 2, 3, 4 years, and those people may not have a lot of money. Yes, I do know that there are carrier programs that you can upgrade every year, every 6 months, but the fact is that not everyone is willing to change that. Why fix it when it's not even broken, you know? So that type of decision from LG just drove me crazy. So since that drove me crazy, let's talk about management here, okay? And in the marketing department, or whoever makes the decision, doesn't matter. The top level execs. So I've been into these meetings, okay? And the person who always innovates or always brings up that these features should be there never gets the credit, never gets a raise, and I don't understand why. So what happens in these meetings is, let's talk about, LG G5, okay? I mean LG G6. Just an example. Oh, you know what? No, let's talk about iPhone 7. It should be much easier. So let's imagine Tim Cook is in there, Johnny Ive, and engineers and marketing level execs. So they were thinking, hey, what should we do in our next model? Not only that, what can we do to gain market shares and gain more profit margins? So one guy is saying, oh, let's add wireless charging. Oh, good idea, but how much will it cost? Right? Then a female comes in and say, hey, how about we add dual speakers? That might be a good idea, but you know what? Let's do it in a different way, so we don't feel like we're copying other companies. So there's always this one guy, right? Or this one person. Hey, you know what? 3.5. We have Bluetooth. We have Bluetooth headset. Why do we need a headphone jack? Not only that, by reducing the headphone jack, we make our production less. We basically reduce the amount of parts that we spend. And you know what Tim Cook says? Oh, great idea. You get a raise. Boom. But in actuality, they're not even thinking of the consumers. They're mostly thinking of what can we do to make more money, to gain more profit shares. Look, a business is a business. You're out there to make money. I absolutely understand, but not at a cost of a consumer practicality. Heck, I don't even know why they took out the 3.5 millimeter jack. The 3.5 millimeter jack doesn't even cost that much. It's per bulk, it's probably 5 cents. And you're telling me that makes a difference? It just doesn't make sense. Oh, here comes another thing. Hey, you know what? How about we have Bluetooth, but let's not have it do some file transfer. Great idea. People would know that we're onto security. We're all about our security. It just doesn't make sense. And imagine what was an LG boardroom meeting. It's like, okay, how about this? Let's not waste a lot of money on the US. How about we focus on where we're strong at, this country? It just doesn't make sense. One thing about these international countries don't seem to understand is that, or international brands, is that US has a lot of influence. And I always say, if you really want to make it big, go to the US. To me, you're never big unless you're known in the US. There are few exceptions, but US is definitely where it's at. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna get into cars, okay? So Honda Civic Type R. So Japan never really gave the US the Type R. They've only given it the SI. Yes, I do know there's a new Civic Type R that's available, but in the past, it never was available. You only had the Civic SI, and here's what I don't understand. Europe had it. Some parts of Asia had it. Japan obviously had it, but never in the US. And why is that? Is it because of the conversion from left to right hand drive or right to left hand drive? It doesn't matter, because there are a few countries in Europe that have a left hand drive Civic Type R, and that's not with a conversion. That's actually from stock. And I always wonder, what is it in the boardroom meeting or in a meeting that these execs, management decides to always differentiate every model? I mean, it's more work for the factory assemblers. It's more work for the marketing team. It's more work for the graphics team. I mean, it's basically more work for everybody. If we simplify things, it'd be better for everybody. You'd reduce amount of time that you have to spend on this new product. Not only that, you'd reduce amount of money you waste. You actually reduce the amount of meetings you have to go through and testing. So why even go through these things? I just don't understand. So I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, alright, about the Canon 6D Mark II. So I've read this review that it has a bad dynamic range in the low ISO, no 4K video, no headphone jack, not a microphone jack but a headphone jack. And so Canon basically targets this camera for the entry level person who wants to get into the entry level full frame. But there are those who have the Canon 6D Mark I who's been using it for videos, professional work, even homework, just personal life, just to be having full frame. And a lot of consumers and a lot of videos I've seen wanted the 6D to have full frame capability video, obviously a headphone jack, better sensor, better dynamic range, cost $2,000. And they were basically saying, look, Ken, why would you make a new model that doesn't have 4K, that still has the same a 1080p video capability? It doesn't even have a headphone jack. It doesn't even have, it has a low dynamic range on base ISO in its sensor. So why should I buy this camera? So my point is that many of these brands are trying to protect their upper end models. But if you are to me spending 2K amount of money on a camera, it doesn't matter what model it is, you should have at least a feature that makes this camera be at least future proof. Because I know for a fact that Canons don't upgrade their cameras every year. It could be 2, 3, or 4 years. How do I know? Because I own the Canon Rebel. One of the best lenses I had was the Canon 50, the EF 1.8. But they do upgrade the camera on the Rebel or wherever you're from, the TS or the TA, whatever, every year. But that's the lower end model, which is the APS-C. But my point is that a lot of these companies always trying to protect their upper end models, but the fact is they always have something missing that is not sellable, because consumers can't even get a middle end model. There's no in between, and a lot of these brands don't even provide that. I just don't understand. I'll give you one example. So I'm trying to buy a new cell phone, right? And I was interested in the Moto G5, not the Plus G5, because why? It has a removable battery and the G5 Plus doesn't. So the G5 Plus to me was too big, but the G5 was perfect, 5-inch, right? And you can never get it on a 3 gigabit RAM. You can only get it as a 2 gigabit RAM, 32 gigabyte storage with SD expansion. And you can't buy it in the US, but you can buy the Canada model to work with T-Mobile and AT&T or any GSM carrier. So why is Motorola only selling the higher end of the G5, but not, the G series, but not its lower end? If Apple, Samsung is able to send the smaller size and the bigger size at the same time, why not Motorola? Is it because they're trying to protect the G5 Plus? Because if they sold the G5, more people are gonna go buy the G5. I think that was it. I actually think more people was going to buy the G5 because they know that the G5 will last longer. Because the G5 was a removable battery, 5-inch, which is overall better to hold, better in every way, same screen resolution. Some parts of the country or some parts of the world gets the 3 gigabit model, which again, differentiating models, segmented models. I really don't understand that, and they know that it's a better seller because it's a lower cost. So why buy something bigger knowing that the smaller one has the same features? The only thing I can see from this bigger one is probably bigger battery size and bigger screen, but that's about it. Again, same resolution, same features, everything. So all these business practices, marketing practices and decision making somehow eludes me, because I'm more of the type to, okay, let's bring something new and innovative to the consumer. Let's introduce a new technology to consumers, because we know that over time they will learn to love it, and it's always practical. Even though our market profit will be the same, but at least we're bringing something new to the consumer. And that's what they always want to look for, because they want to see something new, and you want them to give a reason why they want to upgrade. But all these practices I just talked about is just pushing away the customers. You're not even respecting the customer, you're just pushing them away. You have to, if for people to give you their money, you have to give them a good reason why. And for you to give them a reason why, you gotta show them. You gotta, whether it be commercials, ads, but at least show them something that they may use in the future that gives them a reason to buy it, to purchase it, to recommend it to their friends, to others, to co-workers, to their significant others. And so that's what I basically want to talk about, is all these decision makings in technology that goes on in the meetings somehow eludes me. Sometimes I just don't understand it. I understand if you want to save costs, but if you want to save costs, then that means you messed up before. So what do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. And so this basically concludes a special edition of Mr. Informal Podcast edition 29. I want to call this Brand Decision. I will see you in the next podcast. Mr. Informal signing out. Check out my website, mrinformal.com. Bye-bye.